Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. Sorry about the slight delay, having a few problems connecting this morning. So hopefully connected and sound is okay. Please let me know if you can't hear me very quickly. Okay, quick review of risk events this morning. First, just starting off looking at the news that's due out. So Thursday 20th here, we've had the Australian data coming out, which was positive in terms of the numbers of employed. The employment change to increase positively, and the unemployment figures also reduced significantly from 4.5 to 4.2. That puts more pressure on the Aussies for interest rate increases at some point, maybe. Anyway, aside of that, then what we got looking for today? Well, we've got the Philly Fed Manufacturing Index, not a big mover. Unemployment claims, not a big mover. None of these are really. The crude oil inventories is the more significant one at 4 p.m. Of the news events. Quick look at where we are in terms of the treasuries this morning. They've been pushing up. It seems that the market's ignoring them a little bit, but well, whatever it be, maybe they're just acclimatizing to this new high of the yields. The yields are high though. Right, let's have a look at the markets themselves. We'll start off looking at the Forex markets, euro dollar as ever. And as you can see, it's running into its 4-hourly 21 here, so it's had a half decent retrace at last. It needed that. It took a long time to come back to its daily pivot yesterday, reacted off that, but eventually it's pushed up higher here. It hasn't hit the daily pivot today. Minor divergence across the highs here. I've left this little blue blob. It's just to remind me there's quite a lot of buy orders sitting around that area. So if we did get a run up into that sort of area, well, it could still be a draw up there at about 113.85, but has put in the short term here, has put a series of higher lows in here. Maybe still got some more to go. So that's what I'm watching there. I just wanted to change this to a MACD at the bottom here just to see what's it's nothing soft at the top there, no divergences, just a bit of RSI divergence there. Okay, pound. So pound yesterday ended up on a positive, although had been doing better. Positive this morning as we're looking through these markets. A break of the weekly pivot would give us another higher low and would suggest that we've got more upside here on the pound, which it fits with other analysis on the pound. So particularly when you come out looking at the higher time frames here, the general trend has been up. Yes, it's pulled back for a few days, but the analysis seems to be matching up here, so a break of these highs would be bullish. Consolidated where we are in the 60s, a bit like the euro in a sense. It hasn't pushed higher than yesterday's highs though, within yesterday's range at the moment, and this may be setting the confidence levels of this market are pushed back towards the highs there, pushed through its R1, and through the highs there may see further upside. A break really below the 34, the 20 and 50 and moving averages I've got showing on here would be a bit more bearish, but at the moment erring on the bullish side. We know this can change very quickly post 8 o'clock, of course. Dolly Yen's seeing some money flowing in on the short term here. Let's just have a look at the dailies here to start with, though. It has been pushing up through the Asian session, and currently the dollar had been and it is still slightly up for the day. But looking at the price action here, it's a bit of a muddle, to put it politely. It's in a mess. Lower highs we're seeing coming through here, lower lows. Maybe this pattern here, or the shape of things here, is a little bit clearer on this time frame and giving us the overall bigger picture. That 114.20 area seemed to be key yesterday in terms of support for most of the time. It did have a shocker through the Asian session this morning, but that seems quite a key point It broke through yesterday's lows there. We'll just see how it goes, but it is drifting to the downside at the moment for the yen, strengthening up. Aussie dollar. Aussie continues in its channel here. It's pushed up yesterday. Day before it hit the bottom there. Yesterday it got close to it, but pushing up, making higher lows in the short term. 4 hourly, it's not the clearest of charts that we're seeing here at the moment. Again, quite a ugly looking mess, but it did look like it had a 5-wave move down here. Maybe this has got a bit more of a correction sitting in it. And come down to the hourlies, you see the high lows coming through here, higher highs at the moment at least. But it's just stalled a little bit again. We saw these spikes through the market there, and that 1 o'clock spike, and that's pretty much done the markets in for a moment. So could see a bit more correction from those. Okay, now that would have obviously been the news, the employment news coming through there, but why it's come off so much is anyone's guess really. We see this a lot in terms of good news comes out, the market tends to move in the direction and then goes completely counter. Very similar to what we saw in the Canadian dollar yesterday. It's some relatively stronger inflation coming out there, which would have been, I'd say, good news, but good for interest rate increases. Yet it then completely reversed for quite some time. It's the same bar there. So that 12 o'clock bar, here we go, and you can just see it sold off and then completely reversed. It's looking quite choppy as I looking at it at the moment. It's a difficult one to pitch from here, but the bigger picture does still look to the downside for the Canadian dollar, US dollar, Canadian dollar that is. Right, okay, as the majors, looking through then at commodities, gold. I was asked about gold yesterday, whether we can look at what the big money's doing. Well, if you look at sentiment is released on a Tuesday. Recorded from a Tuesday and released on the following Friday. So it's the sentiment I'm looking at in terms of the commitment of traders reports. They only come out once a week. They won't give us the sort of data for midweek. So you can only work with if there's volume coming in with the move, it may be a bit more bullish. Yesterday we certainly saw quite a bullish move hanging around at the moment. It's largely been going in the pattern. We had this sort of bigger retrace here, but largely it's been going in this higher lows, higher high pattern. There's been times when it's looked quite messy. But leading into yesterday, it was looking lower highs, lower lows on the shorter time frames here, but managed to pitch up. Let's see if we got some volume on here. So solid volume coming in on those bars. But the I'd say concerning thing is you've got quite a lot of volume coming on that next bar up, and look at the distance difference. Okay, it broke the key. There's a sort of a key level sitting about 1830. If you look right the way across on the bigger time frames, if you just come out to the weeklies here, there's actually, there we go, it's pretty much that. It's a very pivotal area in gold, and it broke that. So whether that caused a bigger move, well, that's all I can put it down to. Meanwhile, shorter time frames here, but a divergence across the lows here. It's not really giving back from that at the moment, just consolidating. A break below that low at midnight low would suggest a bit more downside, maybe towards its pivot, but consolidation up here and a push could just carry on. Consolidation around highs often we often see new highs. Right, okay. Sorry, a bit of time on that, but oil. Oil yesterday pushed into new highs but couldn't hold on, and it's pushed some weird old price action going on here. Some signs, just put the RSI on there, some bit of signs of weakness, we've seen divergence going across different time frames. On the bigger time frames, a bit of weakness coming through, but don't forget today we've got the crude oil inventories later on, and that could see this pushing once again, largely in one direction or the other, whichever way takes the inventories. Anyway, for now, high lows, higher highs, still remains bullish off these higher time frames. Right, Actually, let's just look at the 60 just to see. It did change a contract there. It filled the gap anyway, but overall the picture was heading a bit on the south side. So right, let's have a look at switch markets here, he says, and switch across to crypto markets. Bitcoin yesterday selling off, heading back towards that sort of support level I've got there, pitching up again at the moment, but we've seen the dollar soft this morning relatively across most markets, and consequently we're seeing sort of these bounces, and Ethereum bouncing off its lows there today. Ripple, similar case right the way through here. Not much else to say. I can't get bullish on these yet personally. I mean, there, as I said yesterday, there's sort of some key levels. Everyone's frightened about Bitcoin and hold about Bitcoin, and there's a sort of extreme fear sort of reading coming through it. Normally at these sort of stages you would look to buy, but it's or consider buying, but I've got to wait for the technicals to show me the way. Okay, that's a Bitcoin that's nip across, looking at the indices, if I get the right one on. There we go. CSI then, CSI 300 index overnight, bit of a bounce coming back on this. I'm still remain bearish on the bigger picture. You still see these sort of steps down here. The Nikkei summed things up, also had a bounce. I thought I should just come out to just look at the weeklies here and just show you why. I mean, actually go back to the CSI on that time frame. You see why I'm sort of bearish on the bigger picture here. You're just sort of stepping down. Yep, this week we're having a bit of a bounce on the CSI 300 there, but these markets are on the big time frames breaking out of what are more significant levels. Hence why, as I say, bit bearish on those. Opposite to that has been the FTSE, and it's pushing up. I just noticed, just pushing up this morning, just kicking in there, pushing in and looking positive. DAX getting a little bit more of a bounce from yesterday, pushing through, as is the CAC. Someone asked me to look at the Nifty 50. There's the Nifty 50 for you, and it's been selling off quite strongly. Again, I looked at the bigger picture of this just to get a feel for it. It's had I mean, the Nifty 50 has been nifty for sure. It's been pushing up quite strongly. At this point here, looking at the bigger picture on this market, a break of the sort of the lows that are way down at 1638 would suggest further downside. But at the moment it's certainly showing some weak signs. It's a bearish engulfing candle where it sits at the moment. It's obviously the candle's not finished yet, but it does show some weakness there. Right, I'm going to have to call it a day pretty much. I'll just a quick look at the S&Ps. S&P is doing exactly the same, breaking through. Actually, I say exactly the same. Breaking through yesterday, selling off quite strongly. A bit of a bounce at the moment with maybe with the European markets coming on stream there and pushing up, but it's still looking pretty soft across in the US of A. There we go on all three of their major markets. Right, I'm going to have to leave it there. I wish you a great day's trading, and I'll catch you in the morning. Bye for now.